In the dead of night, the shatter of pane glass, an orange flicker crawls across the floor and up the walls of the Republican Party office in Hillsborough, North Carolina. But as the smoldering embers cool, a most shocking thing happens. I'm Scott Ott with Bill Whittle and Stephen Green, and this is Right Angle, brought to you by the members at BillWhittle.com. You know, man, it sounds so third world, but someone firebombed a political party office in Orange County, North Carolina, setting documents, furniture, and yard signs ablaze, filling the room with smoke. Vandals scrawled a swastika and the words, "Republican Nazis leave town or else." Hillary Clinton decried the violence as, quote, horrific and unacceptable. Donald Trump blamed it on, quote, animals representing Hillary Clinton and Democrats, end quote. But a handful of tech bloggers started a GoFundMe campaign to help rebuild the Republican headquarters. They set a goal of $10,000, but just 40 minutes later, the total climbed beyond that. The kicker? These Good Samaritans are all lefties. Harvard University technology expert Dave Weinberger, one of the three leftists who launched the GoFundMe campaign page, said, quote, even though we disagree thoroughly with the Republican Party on most things, and with the North Carolina Republican Party especially, that only made it seem like a better occasion to try to get past the political differences and to remember the democracy that unites us all. Now, Stephen Green, which event is the more shocking? The firebombing fascistic action in the campaign headquarters, or the act of human kindness? And what do you make of it?
The bombing is the only shocking thing to me. And let me state on the record, we don't know who did this. We don't know if it was Republicans, Democrats, anarcho-capitalists. We just don't know. Let's not point any fingers. But what a wonderful thing these guys did. You know what this goes to show? Bill, last week you did a segment, I think it was the members segment, on trying to find some common ground with Democrats or progressives on ending some of this gridlock in areas where we can find some agreement. We've got civil libertarians on both sides, believe it or not. We may not always agree on the specifics, but there are some broad generalities where we can and should get together if we can get past some of the hatred and the gridlock. And Bill, I don't know if you went into the comments on that one. I swore to myself last week I was going to take from then until after the election off from reading the comments, except for the comments at BillWhittle.com, because I expect a higher grade of internet commentary on there, and 9 times out of 10 I get it. But Bill, we got such big pushback on that segment down in the comments saying, "Oh, it's impossible. It can't be done. We hate these people." But look, these guys, these left-wing techies, they made the first move. They made the first move. They set up the GoFundMe. They raised $13,000. It's a beautiful story, and it goes to show you that on those areas where we can find some agreement, we should work hard, set aside the hate, and do just that.
Well, Bill Whittle, in our members exclusive production meeting, you said that this is one of the best stories you've heard in a long time. Why did this strike such a nerve in you?
Because it's the essence of what American politics should be. You said that the firebombing of a political office is a third world act, and it is. It is a third world act. And when third world acts happen here, then you're thinking, my God, we're heading into the third world. When the opposition decides to put up money to repair that office, that's not a third world act. In fact, it's not even a first world act. That's an American act. That is the essence of what we're supposed to be. And the way they phrased it was perfect. The idea that we disagree with them vehemently and many times, nevertheless, we completely can not only do. See, this is the thing. I talk all the time about unearned moral superiority and how easy it is to virtue signal. Oh, that was a terrible tragedy. But these guys actually did something about it. It gave me a great deal of hope for the future of this country, or at least for the present of this country. I just want to say one thing about what Steve mentioned about the pushback in the comments and how we can't work with these people. I've said this many times now, tormented for weeks now by this expression that I've always believed in, which is that people get the government they deserve. And the government that we have now is the worst government that we've ever had in this country. And I believe that particular maxim. That tells me that we're the worst people we've ever had in this country as a people. And I think one of the reasons that we deserve this government that is so appalling and so bad is because we've continued to get more and more and more at war with our fellow countrymen and just dig in deeper and deeper and deeper. Listen, I'm a gladiator for a position, and so are you. We are gladiators for a specific
Right.
position that's out there on the right wing. So it seems odd that we would be able to say that, but the more I think about it, the more it occurs to me. Let me just say this to the members especially, but to everybody else watching. I think that the future of this country is going to be based upon whether or not conservatives can apply conservative values, constitutional restraints, and all of the other stuff that we hold so dear, small government, but we have got to apply them to the problems that the progressives present. Because if we continue to give them that, the only reason there are progressives is because of the failures. Progressives are there because of the failures in the system, the people who are left out. You can make the case all you want to that these people should just bootstrap themselves up, and God knows I did it, but some people simply can't. And to go after the progressive causes and to take away their thunder and to go after fixing these problems doesn't mean you become a progressive. It means you apply conservative constitutional principles to things that we as conservatives don't even talk about. I've got a big message coming up right after the election, and I'm going to do something that I think is extremely provocative, but I think it's the real truth. I'm going to take a picture of one of these protesters in Ferguson at nighttime, one of these young black men, maybe shooting the bird at the police or throwing a rock or something like that, backlit by the fire. And I'm going to say, if we don't have a plan to win this guy's vote, then we're going to lose. And it shouldn't be that. I am not about compromising my principles at all, but our principles should apply to everybody. And if we don't have a plan for that guy, then that cancer is going to continue to grow. And it has been growing for 50, 60, 70 years now under the left. And I think we need to go in there and we need to have a better plan, and we need to get that guy to actively vote for us. Now, many conservatives are so entrenched, Scotty. They've seen so much. Look, if anybody, we know, because we're in this all day. This is what we do for a living. We know how much damage has been done to the country that we love, and we know how much the values are under attack, and we know who's attacking them. So I'm not saying that we go halfway with progressives, because halfway to being a child molester is, you're a child molester. But I do think we need to take the causes that they are championing, and we need to come up with solutions that work better. And if they want to join us, great. If not, we'll solve the problems. And if we solve or at least address the problems that the progressives bring, then we will never lose again. And that's what America should be. We should be taking our strengths and applying them to the legitimate problems that the progressives see, but we need to bring our strengths. We need to bring rigor. We need to bring means testing. We need to bring financial accountability. We need to bring a return to personal responsibility. We need to bring all these things. But to pretend that those problems don't exist is catastrophe, not just for the Republican Party in elections, but for the country at large.
Hey, Scott, let me jump in here, because Bill, you brought up something that I've been harping on for probably about the last 8 years now. Since about 1992, Republicans and conservatives have just written off one group of voters after another and said, oh, we don't like them, they'll never like us. And you don't build a winning coalition by a process of subtraction. And we wonder why we've lost the last 4 out of 6 presidential elections, and we're about to lose a 5th out of 7. It's because we are on purpose, excluding one block of voters after another. And this insanity has got to stop. So when you're ready to put your thing together after the election, you give me a call. You let me know what needs to be done, that you need some help with or whatever, and I will be there for you.
I want conservatism to win, but I don't want conservatism to win at the cost of putting the other half of the country into the same kind of cage that we've been in while they're in power. I think that our ideas work better for everybody. I think it'd be a much happier country. So I think if we take our procedures and our values, which we clearly are winners at, but there are many issues that we simply don't address. We simply don't address them because we think whatever we think, but we don't address them, and we lose on these issues. And you can't walk away from the culture, guys. The culture is the culture. If you walk away from the culture, it doesn't mean the culture changes for the better. It means it changes for the worse. This is where the fight is. It's not about bayonets and battleships. It's about changing people's minds and restoring a sense of morality and decency and civic virtue to this country, because until we improve the quality of the American citizens' morality, we will get the government that we deserve.
Well, I know that we do get the government we deserve, but if it's any comfort to you at all, Bill, it's probably only the government that about 20 to 25% of us deserve, given the voter turnout.
So screwed.
The phrase "Good Samaritan" crept into our lexicon and lore from the pages of the New Testament. It's a lovely idea that we associate with someone who does a good deed for another. But the real parable, the original parable, is darker, and it means to provoke us. Jesus actually tells the tale to rebuke the one who says, "Love your neighbor," but who's actually selfish and waxes charitable merely within his own tribe, loving those who love him first. The Samaritan is a despised outsider, but he's the one who rescues the abused and wounded at his own expense. While the respected leaders profess their principles, they cross the road to avoid helping an injured crime victim and hurry along on their self-serving way. Jesus taunts us by showing someone we hate who has more actual love both of man and of God than do the principled leaders who ardently profess their own love. Ironically, the people who we on the right damn as big government collectivists have just taken individual, private, voluntary action to bless their enemy, and thus to make the country a better place, or perhaps to demonstrate that the country is actually a better place than we might hear from the politicians and pundits. For Bill Whittle, Stephen Green, and the Right Angle team, I'm Scott Ott. Thanks to the members at BillWhittle.com for making this possible.